younger brother worked at Father's fireworks factory. He was a genius at explosives. He was also a young man in search of something to believe in. His sister wondered when he would find it.
Grandfather had been a professor of Greek and Latin.
The man sailed off to the North Pole with Admiral Parry.
I shall miss you.
Of course you will. It's only a year. Nothing much happens in a year. The world will not spin off its axis. Nothing will change, Mother. We will miss each other, but the world will stay the same.
I hope not. What this world needs is a good swift kick in the pants.
Look! Tell them will appear, it's her! Evelyn Nesbit! She's even more beautiful in real life than she is in the magazines. I'm going to try and speak to her.
Me too.
Edgar, stay here.
I want to see her too.
You're the man of the house now. You have to keep an eye on Mother for both of us.
Mother's younger brother was in love with Evelyn Nesbit. Ever since that first glimpse of her on the pier, nothing else mattered. He was late for work. He forgot to shave. He dreamed of writing her name in the sky with fireworks. When she opened in a new review at Hammerstein's Olympia on West 44th Street, he took the day off and was first in line to buy a ticket. From what would become his regular seat in the first row of the second balcony, younger brother would lean far over the railing, hoping his goddess would notice him. One night he almost fell. Evelyn caught sight of him and smiled. Life was suddenly wonderful and full of delicious possibilities.
Daily Journal, Miss Nesbit! Is it true you haven't visited your husband in the asylum since the trial?
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
have nightmares about your lover's shot-off face?
Hey! Leave the lady alone.
Thank you. You're at the theater every night. You've never missed a performance. You deserve a reward. Is that what you wanted?
I love you, Miss Nesbit.
Would you repeat that for the press?
No, I really love you.
You love the girl on the swing. Well, now you can say she kissed you, but she could never love a man as poor or thin or as nice as you. I'll blow you a kiss from the stage tomorrow night if I haven't forgotten all about you.
I was going to change the world for you! Crime of the century, crime of the century, all for a youthful flame. I never want to hear that song, or her name again.
I guess he met her.
Is Evelyn Nesbit the harlot of Babylon?
Where did you hear that?
I read it in one of Uncle's magazines.
I don't want you going in his room.
They're here!
We found her! In the cellars of a home on the next block. She's a washwoman there. Her name is Sarah.
Are you the mother? Oh, thank God I found him. What if I hadn't been working in the garden today?
Don't waste your time, Mum. She won't say a word to anyone.
Where will you take her?
To the charity ward. Eventually, she will have to stand charges.
What charges?
Well, attempted murder, I should think.
What's going to happen to the baby?
There are places for unfortunates like this.
I will take responsibility for mother and child. Please take Miss Sarah inside. father should have stayed home. And your uncle shouldn't spend all his nights prowling around New York City looking for God knows what.
I know what.
I hope not.
Oh, this piano is badly in need of a tuning.
Oh, yes, we are terrible about that.
Do you know any coon songs?
Coon songs are for minstrel shows. White men sing them in blackface. This is called ragtime.
Small, clear chords hung in the air like flowers. The melodies were like bouquets. There seemed to be no other possibilities for life than those delineated by his music.
Ill-tuned or not,
Where have I been? How
His finger struck those keys, and every note says please, and every chord says turn my way.
I thought I knew what love was, but these lovers play music, haunting me and somehow taunting me. My love was never half as true. Every chord says turn my way. I thought I knew what love was, but these lovers play music, haunting me and somehow taunting me. My love was never half as
Sarah, my love has changed. Sarah, you've got to see. Sarah, we've got a son. Sarah, come down to me.
You and your music singing deep in me, making
It was winter in New York as the snow began to fall, and the workman's hall had not a seat to spare. When a young man ducked inside, just to warm himself was all. Night that Goldman spoke at Union Square.
What is happening in Lawrence is happening everywhere. Let us at last make this the land of opportunity for all people, not just the owners. The land of opportunity for Tata and this little girl. We cannot rest.
She was speaking loud and fast through a haze of noise and heat, and the smell of sweat and anger in the air. The police were standing by, but the crowd was on its feet. Night that Goldman spoke at Union Square.
You,
He thought he heard her say,
what brings you here today?
For young rich boy,
Masturbates for a vaudeville tart, for the waste of a fiery heart, dear.
he thought she said,
for young bourgeois,
There are things that you've never thought. Come to Emma and you'll be taught here.
his head was spinning.
Feather and tar, my friend, unions broken and Bible. Children laboring, women still enslaved. Legal in his backyard, my friend, there are causes to die for strength.
In the gutters of the city, I have tried to find some meaning in the arms of fallen women, in the thought of suicide. In a firework unexploded, wanting life but never knowing why. Tonight,
at Union Square. The strike in Lawrence became famous. The press called it the Children's Crusade. Public indignation grew, but the mill owners were not slow in calling in the militia to protect their property.
Take the bread. It's not charity.
Of course it's this is America.
I'm ashamed that our community is represented in his mind by that bunch of toughs.
Let me talk to my lawyer.
That's all it will be, talk. Talk! The Republican vice presidential candidate was to be in the city that evening to attend a rally. The Secret Service was at the ready. The recent assassination of President McKinley had been a lesson well learned. Guns were going off everywhere.
I'll tell them nothing and no one to them. So they beat her and beat her and beat her and beat
Why does nobody care?
There is blood in the air, we have voices and souls. What is wrong with this country?
We are suffering a tragedy that should not have been ours. What in God's name possessed you? You took that woman in without sufficient thought. She brought Coldhouse into our lives. You victimized us all with your foolish female sentimentality.
Are you going out to find him and shoot him?
I'm protecting my home. If Mr. Walker makes the mistake of coming to my door, I will deal with it.
Why should he come here? We did not desecrate his car.
I went to the police. I told them this murdering madman was a guest in my home. I told them we're keeping his bastard child. I told them everything I knew. They were very grateful.
Did you tell him he was the same Negro maniac whose car they destroyed? The same black man who went to them for justice, but whose every legal complaint they ignored. The same crazed Negro killer who followed a coffin of a woman they murdered. Were they grateful for the truth?
I hope I misunderstand you. Would you defend this savage? Does he have anyone but himself to blame for Sarah's death? Anything but his damnable nigger pride. Nothing under heaven can forgive the killing of men and the destruction of property in this manner.
I did not hear such a eulogy at Sarah's funeral. I did not hear you say then that death and the destruction of property were inexcusable.
Must I endure this?
You are a complacent man with no thought of history. You have traveled everywhere and learned nothing. I despise you!
You'll be back.
I don't think so. Why is Uncle angry? Why is everyone so angry?
They must think we're fools.
Good evening. I would still very much like to speak to Mr. Coldhouse Walker, Jr.
This is still Harlem, and this is still a private thoroughfare, cracker.
I told you. I will come here every evening until he's satisfied it's safe to receive me. And that time will be never. Mr. Walker knows me. I'm his friend.
Try that pestilent pond where they sank his car.
I've been there.
Try that cemetery where he buried his Sarah like a queen.
I've been there, too.
Then try the gates of justice, where the death to his misery may go.
I understand how you feel.
seem to have a lot of change there. Can you manage a quarter? How about a silver dollar?
I said no music.
He's here.
Bring him in. What is it you want? I know it is from you.
He wanted to say, I am here because I have to be. He wanted to say, I am here for what is right. Every day I wake up knowing what you've lost and what is owing. I would shed this skin if I could to stand with you and fight. He wanted to say,
I am not who I appear to be.
he wanted to say,
Do not blame me for my past. We have different lives and faces, but our hearts have common places. This was deep inside me, and you helped me find it at last.
two men meeting for a moment in the darkness.
One turning from America, two men finding for a moment in the darkness. They will say, "Oh, I envy you your innocence." He wanted to say, by your side I could be brave. If there's such a thing as justice, let me help you find your justice. This I do for you and for Sarah who lies in her grave. But all he said was, I know how to blow things up.
Two men meeting for a moment in the darkness. For a moment in the darkness.
You need a hostage and safe passage for my men. It is done. You can't change your demands. You are betraying us. You said we would all go free or we all would die. And the promise of a fair trial. No!
You have my word. I am their mediator, sir, not their fool.
Then they will see me come out with my hands raised. And no further harm will come to any man. From Coalhouse Walker Jr.
God bless you, sir.
You said we fight to the finish!
Yeah, you go out there, man. We ain't.
We're all ready to die as Coalhouse. Push the plunger, blow it off!
Do not trade your precious lives for anything in this world. Your goddamn Model T, your justice thing.
Is your execution yours?
Coalhouse! Mr. Coalhouse Walker Jr. It is I, sir, the hostage you demanded. Your car is ready, Mr. Walker. I believe you will be satisfied.
Yes.
I myself require nothing from you. But don't you feel your sister deserves an explanation?
You may tell my sister she will always be in my thoughts. You may tell her I have always loved her and admired her.
We're not going. You lost Cold House. We've all lost.
I don't believe that. Say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black or white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them heal you. Make them and your sons, make them hear you, make them hear you, and tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you. When they hear you, I'll be near you.
Have I not to go with them?
Here is our hostage. One white face looks just like another.
After Cold House Walker's death, younger brother drove south to Mexico, where he joined the great peasant revolutionary Emiliano Zapata.